diving into EcoBin Dumpster today, waste management company around Clemson, Easley, South Carolina. And you send over articles, website stuff, even some podcast pieces. Seems like we're looking at how a local business can kind of carve out its own unique path to being sustainable.
Yeah, it is an interesting approach. I mean, we hear about sustainability, big picture, like huge companies, global stuff, EcoBin showing how a smaller business can have a real impact just in the everyday choices they're making, especially like right there in their own community.
And one of those choices that really stood out to me was using E85 biofuel. We've got this transcript from a YouTube video. It's with Doug Bervin. I think he's like an ethanol expert. And he talks about how E85 really cuts down on greenhouse gases, like way cleaner to make it. And even that CO2 released when you burn it, it's basically balanced out by what the plants absorb as they grow. But I'm wondering, are there any downsides to using this type of fuel?
That's a good question, because E85 is, often talked about as a greener option. But there are a few hurdles to getting everyone to use it. For one thing, not all vehicles can even run on E85. And getting it isn't as easy as regular gas. Like, there aren't as many places to fill up. Plus, using crops for fuel, well, some folks are worried about how that affects food prices and land use, so it's not, a simple swap. But EcoBin choosing it definitely makes you think about all the choices out there, when it comes to fuel.
Yeah, it's not as simple as eco-friendly fuel, problem solved.
This kind of connects to something else in the sources, how older diesel trucks, which are everywhere in the waste business, they're known for having really high emissions. So EcoBin, using E85, and then their website talking about minimizing trucking, makes me think they're really looking at their carbon footprint from all angles.
Yeah, for sure. Their approach seems to be multi-pronged. It's not just about the fuel they use. They're thinking about like the whole life cycle of waste management and how to reduce impact at every step. And that local focus is really central to EcoBin's whole thing. They're very clear about serving homeowners, contractors, businesses, all in that Clemson, Easley, upstate South Carolina area. It's not about being the biggest. It's about serving their community well.
Right, and I bet that really local focus lets them be more responsive to what their customers actually need. Their website mentions their dump trailers being HOA compliant and driveway safe, which are probably big deals for homeowners there. They get the specifics of their market and tailor their services accordingly.
And they even say 2 loads with them can be cheaper than one from the big national brands. Cost-effective and eco-conscious, that's a good combo.
Definitely. It challenges the idea that sustainable choices always cost more. EcoBin's showing that being environmentally responsible can actually be good for business, especially if you're willing to get creative and really adapt to the needs of your specific market.
It's not just the practical stuff either. Reading their website and that podcast transcript, there's this real emphasis on customer service, transparency, building relationships. You get the feeling they actually care about the people they work with.
It's interesting how they tie their values to their business practices, this people, planet, profits idea they talk about, how success comes from respecting the community and the environment. It's not just a slogan, it feels really ingrained in how they operate.
And that community connection, you really see it when they talk about Scott, the owner. He's got that supply chain background, education, but also he's like a multi-generational community member. He's not some out-of-town CEO. He's invested in this place.
Yeah, that local tie's got to be a huge plus. They get the needs and the values of their community and can really cater to them in a way that a bigger company just couldn't.
Then there's this case study on their website about Pickens County. This one really grabbed my attention. Their landfill is about to close because it was overflowing. But Steve Rains, the director of solid waste there, got creative, implemented an on-site shredder, which drastically cut down on trucking, saved a ton on fuel, and made the landfill space way more efficient.
That's a great example of how a local problem can spark real innovation. It shows how EcoBin's not just thinking about collecting trash, but about the whole waste management system.
Exactly. It's not just hauling stuff away. It's about being part of a bigger solution.
It really shows EcoBin's commitment to looking beyond just collecting trash and considering the entire waste management ecosystem.
Right. It's not just about hauling stuff away. It's about being part of a larger solution. And that kind of ties into something else I noticed. Their website actually encourages homeowners to think about their own recycling habits and choices when it comes to waste. It's like they're saying, hey, we're all in this together.
That's smart. By empowering their customers to make better decisions, they're creating this sense of shared responsibility in the community. It's not just EcoBin doing the right thing. It's about everyone pitching in for a more sustainable future.
And they're really walking the walk when it comes to transparency. Their pricing is clear. They talk openly about what they do, even addressing the tough parts of the waste management industry. It's refreshing to see a company that's not afraid to have those honest conversations.
Yeah, that openness and transparency is so important, especially in an industry that hasn't always had the best rep. EcoBin showing that you can be successful while also being upfront about the challenges and the importance of taking care of the environment.
You get the feeling from their stuff that this isn't just marketing, it's really who they are. This passion for their community and the environment, it seems like it's part of their DNA.
That authenticity probably plays a big role in their appeal. Customers are smart. They can tell when a company's just faking it with sustainability. But EcoBin's commitment is genuine. You can see it. And it connects with people who want to support businesses that share their values.
It makes you think, could this local first community-driven approach be a model for other businesses too, even beyond waste management? What if more companies thought this way?
That's an interesting thought. Imagine every town having a locally owned, eco-conscious waste company, a farm-to-table restaurant getting ingredients from nearby farms, a clothing store focused on ethical production. EcoBin's story suggests this localized, values-driven model can actually work. And not just work, but really thrive.
That's a pretty inspiring vision. Makes you feel optimistic about what's possible.
Definitely. EcoBin highlights the power of small businesses to make positive change. They're showing that success doesn't have to come at the expense of the environment or the community. It can actually be a driving force for a better future, a more sustainable and equitable future for everyone.
So what does all this mean for you, the listener? EcoBin might seem like just a local dumpster rental company, but their story has some really valuable lessons.
It reminds us that we don't have to wait for big corporations or governments to solve the world's problems. We can all make a difference right where we are, by supporting businesses that do things right, making conscious choices in our own lives, and speaking up for change in our communities. EcoBin shows us that even small actions can create a ripple effect, leading to a more sustainable and just future for everyone.
It really is. And, going back to that E85 thing, it's not just about the environment. The sources mention how E85 helps American farmers too. And it means relying less on foreign oil. It's like this ripple effect of good stuff happening.
Exactly. It shows how interconnected sustainability is. It's not just emissions. It's about a whole system that's more resilient and fair and benefits everybody, from the farmers to the communities that need clean air and good waste management.
Makes me think of that Pickens County example again. It's all about finding solutions that solve multiple problems at once. That shredder not only dealt with the waste, but saved money and made the whole system way more efficient.
It shows what happens when you think outside the box. EcoBin clearly sees the value in those kinds of solutions and wants other people to follow their lead.
Their focus on education is important too, I think. They're not just doing a job. They're teaching people about responsible waste management. Blog posts, articles, all kinds of stuff on their website.
It's about giving people the knowledge to make good choices. EcoBin gets that a truly sustainable future needs everyone on board by sharing what they know and getting customers involved. They're building this culture of environmental awareness in their community.
So if you're in the Clemson area and need a waste management company, that's doing more than just hauling trash. EcoBin's a great example of what's possible.
They prove that you can be a successful business and have a purpose. It's a good reminder that even small local businesses can make a big difference. When it comes to sustainability, they're setting a new standard for the industry and inspiring others to follow suit.
This has been really interesting to unpack with you. EcoBin's dedication to sustainability, community, and innovation is inspiring.
Absolutely. It reminds us we all have a part to play in a more sustainable future, whether it's supporting businesses like EcoBin making good choices every day, or speaking up for change in our communities. We can all make a difference.
Great note to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into EcoBin Dumpster.
It was my pleasure.